one Grand Marshal for the parade will be World War II veteran Bo Cline.
I was born right here in Chattanooga.
Is that right?
Right down there on McCallie Avenue.
Just before high school, his family moved to Illinois. In 1943, he was working to help pay for college, but he and a buddy decided they wanted to go fight in World War II.
Things weren't going real good in the war, you know, and he and I decided we better get on up there and volunteers.
He was sent to Texas to train, then to Europe. He was a navigator in a B-26.
We were called Tactical Air Force. We bombed right out ahead of the troops. Railroads, marshaling yards, supply dumps, things that were really right up near where the troops were, you know.
He got to Europe in August 1944. He was 23 years old.
And I was the old guy of the crew. Everybody was younger than me.
In December, during the Battle of the Bulge, the weather was so bad they couldn't fly missions.
2 days before Christmas, and things cleared up. And the United States Army Air Corps put everything they had in the air.
They were flying over France, planning to bomb a target in Germany.
When formation was tightening up good to start to run on the target, well, I remember our tail gunner saying, well, here's our escort coming in here now. But it turned out to be German fighter planes. And so they hit us right when we was forming up to make the run on the target. And we were one of the first knocked out.
They were hit behind enemy lines.
I grabbed my rosary in one hand and got that handle of that chute on in the other.
He says some crew members didn't survive the plane being shot down.
Scared to death. You can bet I was scared to death. Right back here is where I'd get my chute on, and there's 2 bomb bays right here.
When he landed on the ground, he couldn't see the crew members who did survive.
I saw this wooded area, and I was trying to get out of the chute, and I saw these 2 soldiers running up the track toward me, you know, so I just stood there and waited on them.
It took him 3 weeks to get to a permanent prison camp north of Berlin. He walked and rode on the back of trucks. He says his pilot was at the camp when he arrived.
He would come to the gate where they brought in new prisoners every day looking for me, and he said when I finally came in, he hardly recognized me because I was all beard, you know, and it was freezing cold. My hair was frozen.
At the camp, they didn't get much to eat. Mr. Cline says they were always hungry.
Got black bread and sometimes a little cheese, always got black bread, and sometimes with coffee or tea. That's about it.
He was in that prison camp for 8 months. He says they were miserable at times, but he says he was not mistreated.
You'd bunk with somebody next to you so that way you had 2 blankets. See, this is in the wintertime. It was cold. And there was no heat. It was just wood barrack is what it was.
Mr. Cline spent 8 months in that prison camp. The war in Europe ended on May 8th, 1945. He says he was not released from that camp until early June. As I said, Bo Cline is one of the Grand Marshals in this year's Armed Forces Day Parade. The other person who was scheduled to be a Grand Marshal, World War II veteran Jim Doris, he passed away last week. Our thoughts are with his family. We're working to tell his story soon on The Price of Freedom.